I wanted to ask you about your advice for young women, and I want to be a businesswoman when I'm older. So I'm wondering what steps I should take and what other people can take to get to where they want to be.
One of the earliest things you can do, and I believe you know that you did this, but maybe you haven't analyzed it as much, but how we deploy language and learn to craft narratives is like one of the most empowering and impactful things you can do.
Hi everyone, welcome to my podcast. My name is Mika Sall. This is Quest for Knowledge. I'm a 17-year-old high school student, and our first guest here today is Bernadette Bruce, and she is the Executive Director of Publications at Nova Southeastern University in South Florida. So do you want to explain a little bit about what you do at Nova?
Sure. So, and it was actually founded by entrepreneurs. So entrepreneurs who realized that in order to make Fort Lauderdale and South Florida flourish, they needed to be able to create a system from basically cradle to grave and to start with graduate and doctoral level students. So it was quite innovative that instead of starting at the graduate level, they started at the top level so that they could really infuse that kind of top level talent into the population. So just wanted to note that.
Yes. Okay, so what do you do for Nova exactly? What is your position? Can you explain a little bit about what you do for them?
Sure. So I basically oversee a team of experts in basic language and design, and we oversee the portfolio of publications, I guess, for the university, and that's within the division of public relations, marketing, and creative services.
Do you work with the students?
So one of the tricks of the trade, I guess, is to find ways to work with students. I don't have a student-facing job, but I always find ways to bring that in because, I interview students or when I'm walking around campus, I always make it a point. I'm curious by nature anyway. So I end up talking with students, but that is not the main part of my job. It's just a bonus I try to add to it.
Yeah, that's amazing. So for me, my dad has the biggest influence and impact on my life. So who is that person for you? And how has that person shaped who you have become and helped you become who you are in the role that you have?
I think probably the biggest influence in my life was my grandmother. I call her my grandma. She, for the longest time, I felt like I could do anything because my grandmother believed in me, like literally anything. So, I was 25 years old and negotiating the affiliation agreement for the first permanent Smithsonian exhibition outside of New York in Washington, D.C. And I thought nothing of it because my grandmother believed in me. So she really propelled me. She was also the director of our town museum, so the Town of Yorktown Museum. And I spent the summers with her, but I also got just an incredible array of insights into how you should treat people or how you should respect people of different ages, of different career paths, because she knew that the secret to her success, or like working within the town system or working within the museum, she relied on everybody. She couldn't open the doors on a great product if the janitors didn't spend the extra time or have that level of care in how they approached, her rooms, for example. So she was just incredible in all ways in that regard.
That's amazing. My grandma also is below my dad, but she also has a big influence on me too. Like how you said, she gave you values and things like that to live off by. Me too. So yeah, she has the biggest impact on me, definitely. And also, I was curious because you have authority, obviously, because of the role you're in. How does that feel as a woman?
Well, one of the most important lessons you can learn is you can affect authority without having a title. In fact,
Yeah.
there are things that you can do to ensure that that you have that and that you are respected and you are a go-to based on your breadth of knowledge, based on how you help people. Um, and there are a lot of tricks that help you along the way to build that. You can go into any situation and assign yourself a role.
Mhm.
So, for example, one of the first pieces of advice I read somewhere, just, that idea of assigning yourself a role. And so if I was going into an event and I wasn't sure that I knew a lot of people there, I just self assigned myself a role as a greeter. And I would position myself as a greeter. And that way I got to meet almost everybody coming in and say, hi, welcome, or what have you. And so those little things are tricks that everybody can employ. Um, and then, you just build that over, you build that over time. And when you're a go-to
Yeah.
person or a resource, then, that affects that.
Have you always been able to do that? Because for most of my life, I was shy, and then I started taking Zoloft for my anxiety. So I've been able to have conversations with people, but I'm wondering if you've like always been able to just walk up to people and start talking to them.
No, well, when I was younger, more so, I was kind of precocious, and fearless,
Yeah.
to some extent. I didn't, I was blissfully unaware of how little money that we had and influence. But but one of the formative things that happened in I think oh gosh, actually it wasn't till college. So I was kind of like always
Mhm.
fearless and almost like my agenda is pure. So you need to do what I'm doing because it's good for everybody. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not for me. It's for you or for whomever. Um, okay, well, actually, all right, you're making me think of two things. But both of them I didn't reflect on till I was in college. So one thing that
Okay.
happened to me in elementary school, and I was, you know, at the most awkward point in, like 10 years old, a bowl cut
Yeah.
because my dad tried to cut our hair like Dorothy Hamill and Princess Di and did a really, really embarrassing bad job about it. But
Oh goodness.
my class uh, tapped me, like elected me to be like their class representative.
Hmm.
And I was kind of floored because I was like, I'm not popular and I'm kind of
Yeah.
this awkward person. But I realized later that they needed someone to represent them and to give them a voice. And for whatever reason,
Right.
maybe because I just was fearless enough and because I was not popular, they're like,
Hmm.
you're our person, And so I do kind of have this tendency to root for the underdog. And so for whatever reason, I think people recognize that. So that, I do agree that leaders aren't born, but they can be born
Yeah.
in moments. And I think that was one of the moments. But then in
Hmm.
college, I was a member of the Public Relations Student Society of America. And I went to this conference and I found
Uh,
myself talking with a fellow student.
yeah.
And the way that she just looked at me, the way she held herself, and it was almost like her eyes were looking through me. And I was like, oh, okay. So it matters how you present yourself. And
It definitely does.
even if you're not feeling confident, but your shoulders are back and you're looking directly and you're making that eye contact, you will see the kind of the micro responses in the other person and how they respond to you.
Yeah.
So those are the two things I think that informed that early on.
Huh. My dad always dresses like professional. He has his shoulders back. You know how he is. You met him at Nova,
Yeah.
and he's just like humor, laughing all over the place. And I'm like, I feel like I'm the complete opposite. And it's just,
Great.
I'm wondering if there was like a person for you like that where it was like the complete opposite and then you're like for me, I've been trying to like act like him in a way for a while, which I should be myself, and I've been working on that. So I'm wondering if there was a time when you tried to be somebody you're not.
Everybody does. Mika,
Yeah.
there's not a single person, honestly, who has never kind of experienced what they call, that imposter syndrome.
Yes.
And even when you're confident, you can be placed all of a sudden in situations where that crumbles. And it just has to be, you have to have kind of this self-talk or narrative with yourself always. Like,
Yeah.
all right, let's regroup. How are we going to respond to this? But when you're young, it's
Mhm.
not inauthentic for you to be trying on different things.
Yeah.
So it's not that you're not being yourself, because you still are early in that journey.
That's right. Yeah.
So the fact that you don't know is authentic. And so it's quite, and it's endearing for, to kind of own that and to be like, well, I'm testing out different things. I'm seeing what I appreciate or admire in others. And then it's like, okay, well, what does that look like in myself? Like, if I want to embody this characteristic, it doesn't mean that you have to mirror that image, but what's the translation of that for you? How do you present yourself that reads that way or that comes across? Like,
Yeah.
kind of everything comes down to like 3 words all the time. Like, there's
Yeah.
patterns. So, what 3 words do you want people to use to describe you? You know what I mean? And then
Yeah.
that, along with your values, what are your 3 core values? And so once you start kind of thinking of those words, and they can change, but you will get to a point where uh, w- only one of the three might be flexible. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's so
So,
funny because I was in school and we were actually doing that. There's like this group called It's Nest in my school where we like get together and it's all about personal development and just mental health. And we actually had that like class where it was 3 words that we want to be described as or 3 things we want to value and like be seen as a person. And my 3 words was courage, discipline, and dedication. And I feel like I've lived those words. It hasn't just been like said. I've like lived it
yeah.
because of LinkedIn and I'm finally starting to find myself and I'm only 17, so obviously I'm going to change over time and I'm honestly just realizing that because I was touring colleges a few days ago and I've learned so much about myself in such a short amount of time and for a while I thought, "Oh, this is just how I'm going to be the rest of my life." And I was like okay with that, but now that I'm starting to change, I'm like, "Oh, wow, you actually change and people are right. You don't just stay the same your whole life."
Right. But think about, I mean, you could almost sense the change of you just even over the camera, of how grounding that and foundational that resonated with you when you were like, you claimed your 3 words. And the
Yeah.
great thing about your 3 words is there are so many ways. Those same words can serve you throughout your entire life. They just will
Yeah.
manifest differently or take on different meanings, and you'll just channel them in different ways. But you should be able to feel such security and kind of comfort in the fact that you have your 3 words forever. You do.
That's right.
It's just
Yeah.
it's just how that courage translates in different moments or different. It's limitless. You're
Yeah.
unlimited, but the 3 words are constant.
That's true. And they just manifest in different ways, like you said.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think your 3 words are? Do you have some?
I knew you were going to say that, and it's yeah, oh, yeah, I have them written down somewhere. I think I want
Yeah.
people to think of me as, well, it really comes down to creative, strategic, and I guess generous in some
Yeah.
ways. I like to be generous with spirit and generous with just how you show up for others.
Yeah.
I like that mentality and makes me feel incredibly fulfilled. So I guess those are, but I also love pairing creativity with strategy. That's my jam.
Yeah. I definitely find that you like to help people, and you were so generous when you like took me in and you showed me around NSU and just talked to me with the other professor and then introduced me to Aurelia. That's how we pronounce her name, right? I
Yeah.
I don't um, so that was so sweet, and then my dad was so impressed, like, we walked in there, we were like, "What are we doing? What are we doing here?" Like, we didn't even know what to expect, and then we walked out, like, wow, my dad was literally crying in the car on the way back because I'm only 17 and you, like, offered to help me, and nobody just does that. It wasn't even, like, so you can like maybe have me go to NSU or anything or like money or something like that. It was just like out of the kindness of your heart and that like made such a big impact on me and my made my dad so happy. So I
Oh,
definitely see the generosity in you.
well, I love that. And I honestly feel that people are missing out when they don't take that approach. But it's like if
Yeah.
you do something with no expectations, I
Mhm.
do believe it's going to come back to you. And David and I feel the
Yeah,
same way. Like
100%.
if we have to lend someone money, when there's only been a few instances where we've had to do that for family members, but every time we're like, there, it's not a loan, it's a gift. You
Yeah.
just have to think about either you're going to do it or not. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But if you do, you should just have no expectations, and we don't let anyone walk all over us. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
it's like it so makes life so much more interesting when you just like connect with people. You have a pure agenda. You connect with people, but you're doing what you know you can do in the moment. You know what I mean? It's not like it didn't take much of my time or effort to set that up for you guys, but I do
Yeah.
like surprising and delighting people. And it did elevate, how you might perceive Nova Southeastern University. It did give me a
Yeah.
chance to do something I love. So that self-fulfillment, I did get something out of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But to
I
me,
was
it's
also
just like
so
how I like to
impressed.
live life. Aw.
What'd you say?
But that's just how I like to live. But
Yeah.
um,
That's the best way to live, I feel like.
yeah.
Yeah.
So and
I
and look at
have
this now, you know?
I know. Now we're here. So I wanted to ask you about your advice for young women because obviously you're in a role that has authority and like you're the executive director of publications. And I want to be a businesswoman when I'm older. So I'm wondering like what steps I should take and what other people can take to get to where they want to be in
I
that
think
sense.
one of the earliest things you can do, and I believe you know that you did this, but maybe you haven't analyzed it as much. But how we deploy language and learn to craft
Mhm.
narratives is like one of the most empowering and impactful things you can do. So if you look at your
Yeah.
tagline on LinkedIn, right?
Yeah,
You
quest
you
for
can even
knowledge.
workshop this. You can even workshop this. So if you went up to somebody, even somebody you know very well, and you run these
Mhm.
two sentences by them, if you were to say, I'm a girl on a quest for knowledge versus
Yeah.
I'm a student on a quest for knowledge, we cannot help some of the base level, deep driven, biases and things that occur, right? So
Yeah.
the fact that you position yourself as a student versus a girl, right? Or as
Mhm.
a business person versus a
Yeah.
business woman, those things can make a difference. Now we can still embrace like who we are, and there are different things that come, whether it's, and I don't want to go too deep in these things, but it's just like owning that language and narrative and how you present yourself. if you're a business
Yeah.
person, with the shoulders back and all of that stuff, and not coy, not some of these, whether they're, tr- hmm, it's just how you present yourself, and the
Yeah.
language that you use and the narrative that you create. We also do, I will say, as women, it's not as bad as it was when I first entered the workforce, but
Mhm.
you just, there were some sickening things that you just had to deal with sometimes, whether it's in terms of sexual based language or advances. And you have to protect your reputation at all times. I mean, women do. And you just have to be careful about the situations you put yourself in because, how you want to be perceived in business or in life is impacted by that. So you have to be more aware that just is the truth as a woman, and just protect yourself and protect your
Yeah.
reputation. But otherwise, one of the things that's I have really enjoyed seeing is that I do feel like women are helping each other more these days. Like when I first
Oh
entered
yeah,
the work,
100%.
it seemed like women had to claw their way to the top in such a manner that is almost like they had to fiercely protect it and not necessarily, and it was just, they couldn't turn around and help others, I feel like. But
Yeah.
now I feel like, women are helping each other, men are helping women. Like it's just kind of a nice time to be. I don't know. I feel like it's much more
Yeah.
encouraging in some ways, or at least it has been.
I've seen so many people, like women and men, like in the gym I go to, Lifetime Fitness, there's men and women working together all the time. And it's not like they're competing for anything. They're just like all working together. And then the same for this sales group that I follow on Instagram. It's called She Sells Academy. And it's this saleswoman. Her name's Shelby Shaw. And yeah, Shelby Shaw. And she helps women get into high ticket sales. And like sales is obviously a male industry more. It has been. It's been changing a bit, but that's just how I've seen it and that's how I feel like a lot of people see it. And now that there's like a whole group for women teaching them how to do high ticket sales and sell, it's like amazing because I feel like 50 years ago, however long ago, this wouldn't be happening. And it's just so cool to see how it's changing so much and how women can finally have this position and follow their dreams and everything in business and sales, whatever they want to do. And I want to do that too. So it's just so inspiring to see that. And also to see you do what you do. It's like, just like over the moon. And I'm just like so inspired by you. So, yeah.
Oh, thanks. I no,
Of
I
course.
appreciate that.
Yeah. So I think we should wrap this up. Thank you so much for joining me today and for being my first guest on the podcast. And I'm so excited to get this posted and see where this can go. And maybe we'll have another episode again.
Sure. No, I'm
Yes.
always happy to join you. This is actually my first podcast too.
Yeah, we're in the
So
same boat.
yeah, we're in the same boat, but it really is a pleasure getting to know you. I'm so excited for your journey, and
Yes.
whatever I can do
Thank
to help you,
you.
just let me know.
Thank you so much.